Today we're going to be having a look at filling Apidea or any other mating nook. Right, so as I said, we're going to be filling Apidea, so we'll quickly run through the Apidea. If it's not an Apidea, you've got another mating nook. They're all exactly the same. It's just a small box where we're going to put a couple or so of bees in, so that we can put virgin queens in. She'll go out and get mated, she'll come back, we can easily find her, easily see if she's laying eggs, remove her from there, put her into a full-size hive, whatever you want to do with her, and we can put another virgin in and keep reusing these all summer long. So what we've got in essence is, in the Apidea, we've got a front door that slides up and down, a ventilation grill, a crown board with a small hole in that we can drop a queen cell through, and that'll hold it between the frames. We've got 3 frames with starter strips. Now the starter strips you use, they're literally just cut out of a sheet foundation. One thing to remember though, if that's the way that your normal foundation sits, cut your squares or your oblongs, whichever section you're going to use, the same way. Don't think you can save a bit and cut a bit from the side, because the cells are going to face in a different direction. It's really important, and it makes it a lot easier for the bees to pull them out. They will pull them out. I know people say they don't, but they will pull them out. But if you can make sure that that you cut it out from the same way that your normal sheet foundation had run, and then you can just stick these into there with a bit of melted beeswax. Another problem people keep getting and they ask me about is, they say they'll put the bees in a mating nook and all the bees will huddle into the feeder, and they won't actually go into the frames. One way you can avoid that is use fondant, like we've done here, and we've filled the feeder solid with fondant. So if all the bees wanted to get in the feeder, they couldn't, because it's full of fondant. The other reason why it's good to fill your feeders at the top with fondant is, especially with Apideas, you fill these from the bottom, because the bottom slides out, so that you can actually fill the bees that way and then close it shut. If you fill your feeder full of syrup, it'd pour out all over the place. If you're going to fill it up afterwards with syrup, you'd have to pull your crown board back and hopefully not get any bleed from bees. Any mating nook that you use will need feeding. It'll probably need feeding constantly all summer long, because you're going to have young bees, you're going to have only a few bees in there. It's not like you've got a full hive of bees, so you've got nurse bees and foragers. The other thing is, with mating nooks, the longer you leave your queen, or you dare leave your queen in there, the better of a queen she's going to be, the more laying time she's got before you actually disturb her to put her in a transport cage and send her off somewhere, or introduce her to a nook or a full hive. So the longer she's got in there, the better. But you've got to watch out for swarming, and that's why it's a good idea to go in and cut that comb out, throw it away. It gives all those bees something to do, so they're going to gel, they're going to stay in that hive longer, they're going to look after the young larvae better. So what we're going to do now, we're going to get some young bees in a bucket. We're going to fill all these mating nooks. I've probably got, I've got spare queen cells in the incubator that I took out of a cell builder this morning, and we're going to introduce a cell to one of these Apideas. If you're on next week's course, the Queen Reign course, Sunday the 21st of May, these 3 Apideas are the ones that we're going to be looking at. So you're going to see what happens between now and next Sunday in these Apideas. Fingers crossed, he says, they don't fail miserably and all the bees abscond, but we will see. So we've collected some bees. What we've done to collect bees is we've gone into a hive. So we've got in, we've swept some bees off some wet brood frames, making sure that we didn't get the queen in there. We've swept them into this bucket. Hopefully you can see inside there, and all the young bees are crawling up the side. Keep giving it a bit of a tap. This way we're going to get all the older bees are going to fly out. So hopefully in there we're just going to be left with some extremely young nurse bees. You want to use lots of smoke. Don't be stupid like me, wear a bee suit, because you're going to get 1 or 2 angry bees. You can get these from multiple beehives as well. If you collect bees from more than 2 beehives and mix them together in the same bucket, she's giving me a kiss on the back of the head, what you'll find is they won't actually fight. There'll be 3 different smells in there and they're going to be so confused they won't actually know who to and who not to fight with. So what you're going to do is then keep giving it a bang, get yourself a cup. This is my other coffee cup. In a lot of books you'll read use a cup. What size is the cup? That's the cup and that's the cup. 2 completely different sizes, but you want a fair amount of bees in. Don't be stingy. Don't think to yourself I can get away with a few bees in here, because that's what the book says. Every beekeeper that's ever written a book that I've read wants to use as little bees, or show that he uses as few bees as possible to get the maximum out of these bees as possibly can. I say be fair, use a good amount of bees. So get yourself a cup of bees, and all you're going to do with these is literally shake them in, close the lid and turn it over. Same again, another cup of bees, pour them in, close your lid over. Hopefully we've got enough for 1 more cup. Well, we got 3/4 of a cup of bees. Just make sure after you fill them that these front entrances are closed. You want to keep your bees in there. You want to keep them locked in a nice cool place for 3 or 4 days. So if you've got a cold garage, I wouldn't advise putting them in your garden shed, because if the sun comes out, garden sheds get absolutely red hot. All these sort of nucs, they have got ventilation on. They've got these ventilation screens on the front. Depending on how many bees you've actually put in there, it might not actually be enough. So if you've got somewhere nice and cold and dark, preferably, because if it's dark it's not going to get any sun and it's not going to warm up too much. Keep them sealed in for 3 to 4 days. If you've got queen cells to put in, or virgin queens, put them in at the same time. They'll be perfectly fine. If you're tempted to let them out too soon, what's going to actually happen is they'll just abscond. They could possibly fly back to their original hive. They'll be clustered in your guttering. So you want to keep them locked in. 2 minutes, I'll go get a queen cell. So we've got ourselves a queen cell. It's not the biggest queen cell in the world, but you won't be able to see this, but it is absolutely packed. They've absolutely jam-packed it with royal jelly. so it's going to be well fed and a well nourished queen. And all we're going to do with these, you don't want to keep them out too long. You want to be as quick as you can, and you want to be as gentle as you possibly can putting queen cells in. So if we take the lid off, nice and gentle. On these crown boards, they've got a small flap. Your frames have got two corresponding harpoon shapes. You put those together so it makes a circle, and all you've got to do to put one of these queen cells in is lift this up and pop your cell in like that. So your queen cells back, your queen cells in there, pop that lid on, and now because you have got a queen cell in that one, transport it the same way, nice and gentle, stow it away nice and cool and dark for 3 or 4 days, and it's going to be perfectly fine. After 3 or 4 days, decide where you're going to put it, pop them down, put a brick on, because they don't weigh a great deal, don't these Apideas or any of these other polystyrene mated nucs. Pop a brick on, because a gust of wind, it's going to be tumbling down the garden or wherever you keep these mated nucs, and that's going to be it. If it's a queen cell, you know when it's going to emerge. If you can leave it a good 20 days before you go disturb it again, and check to see the virgin, she's got out, she's got herself mated, she's laying eggs, and you should be good to go after that to either transport it to sell them, if you're going to sell mated queens, to put into a new nuc or a split, or to replace a queen in one of your production hives. It's entirely up to you. It's a very simple process. All you've got to do after you've removed that queen from there is, some people want to leave them queenless quite a while. I've got to be honest, I've found that if I get a roller cage or a small queen cage with a virgin queen in it and pop her straight back in it, they're going to be perfectly fine. You go in there 24 hours after that, break the tabs off, let them eat through the fondant to release that new virgin into there, and the acceptor. If you like these videos and you're watching over on YouTube, click on the red subscribe button and subscribe to our channel. If you click the bell shape, you'll get an email every time we upload a new video.